All right, we're recording. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. And I'm excited to go over some of this training tonight. So if somebody reached out to you and got you this link, basically what we're going to cover is we're going to go over the Forever Pact. It's been coined the Forever Pact. That's not an isogenics pact. That's a pact that we've come up with. Consists of minimum of a bottle of isogenesis and 1 shake a day. And that's just something that everybody should be on for the rest of their life. So Alex mentioned, in a casual conversation that I was having with her, she's all, yeah, that's the Forever Pact. And I'm like, that's perfect. The Forever Pact pretty much says it all in those 2 words. And what I wanted to do was because I know there's a lot of new people on here, we got to catch them up with the mindset behind this. And so some of you, this may be a refresher. I've been going over a lot of one-on-one trainings with a lot of you, and I'm willing to do that with everybody, just, one at a time and chip away at it and really go over what your personal goals are, where you're at, and just kind of give you some mentoring at that point and kind of explain in more detail this Forever Pact and the system that we're utilizing for those that want to choose to opt in with the Forever Pact and these tracks to run on. And so we're setting up some tracks to run on. They're going to have parameters, and we just stay within those parameters. And then we expand from there on the back end, which is the auto ship. So I'm going to go over and explain. Again, I know some of you have seen this already, but there are a lot of new people on here who have not even been introduced to this yet. So I'm going to share my screen and just go over that real quick. And I am going to mute it out just because I keep getting little buzzes and different things. So I'm just going to mute everybody out, and then we'll unmute and give people the opportunity to ask questions. Also, let's see here. I got to stop the share, I think, to mute this out. Yeah. Okay, also you can chat in the chat box, and we'll go in and read those questions at the end as well. But I'll give everybody the opportunity to unmute at different segments, ask questions. Okay, so what we're looking at here is my iPad, and I'm just going to draw some things out here and explain the mindset behind and the concept behind the value pack. And let me set this up a little bit. In the networking industry, the dream is that we can own our own lives, and we can basically live a dream life. And that comes through passive residual income and having enough of that passive residual income come in where it's generating basically wealth. So we can have time freedom and financial freedom. So basically what that boils down to, and it's not a pie in the sky thing, there's many of us that are living this type of life in isogenics where you can do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want. And so you can do whatever has been put in your heart by God to do, and whatever you feel like doing, right? Because you've earned the right to do that. It's not a get-rich program. It's a business, but it has principles that are built into it to literally allow you to live that kind of life. So the idea in the industry is that you put a lot of time in the beginning and you don't get paid as much. So let's put this as the first year and then second year. So this is the year line. And then this is the money line right here. So this would be from $0 up to $1 million. Let's say $1 million a year. So you're going to be putting in a lot of time in the beginning, but because you're getting paid a commission off of the products that are moving, you have a pretty small customer base. In fact, you have no customer base when you get started. The first person might be a spouse. Now you have one customer, right? And then it grows from there. And the more you have a system that's going to produce customers, And by customers, we mean repeat customers. And then we also have business partners that duplicate and bring in more customers. Okay, so in this industry, we say duplicate or die. Duplicate, or you're not going to make very much money. You could eventually make, a decent amount of money by being the one that's doing all the work, as long as your customers continue to order the product. But that's really not going to generate a wealth like $1 million a year, or even 100,000 a year. So what we want is we want the duplicate for sure. So duplicate or die, and we do want customers, and we can have customers with IceGenix because the products are they're unparalleled, right? So what we want is, this is the timeline. So as a mechanic, when I started out, I made a certain amount of money. I got paid so much per hour. And then I learned how to fix cars really quickly because I'm a quick learner. And I got to the top of what I was going to make in that in that field as a mechanic. And so my income just stayed there no matter really how hard I worked, no matter how many hours I worked, because we got paid for fixing cars on the clock. Now, when my family grew, it felt like I got a pay decrease because you have to spend money on essential things that you don't really want to, but you have to. So it just felt like I got a pay decrease. So what I did is I got a paper out, and then I would fix cars at night at home in the driveway. So it just stayed pretty much like that for 15 years. I was a mechanic. And if I would have kept mechanicking, I would be at almost 30 years now, about 28 years. It would still be the same. So that's trading time for money. There's no principles of wealth in there. So doctors, lawyers, attorneys, salesmen, a lot of salesmen who get paid like direct sales type of thing per piece. They don't get the residual off of repeat orders. That's more of a time for money. Dentists, massage therapists, mechanics. Okay, we're trading time for money. So there's pretty much a limit on how much you're going to make. A doctor gets paid a little more per hour, so they'll be higher up on that pay scale. But they haven't created this freedom. See, in the networking industry, as you continue to grow your business and you have repeat customers and more business partners that are joining your business in your downline. Remember, in IceGenix, it's 6%. Let me use a different color, stand out a little better. It's 6% on everybody that comes in on unlimited depth. Anybody that joins your organization, customer, business partner, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, friend, stranger, complete stranger, you don't even know who they are, they get into your business, you're going to get paid 6% on the BV. And anybody that picks it up as a business and they start growing it proactively, you're going to get paid on all their efforts. So remember, 6% on unlimited depth on both legs. IceGenix is unparalleled in doing that, just like they are with their products. So as we have more and more people joining our organization and business builders, you're going to be making more and more money. The money just goes up because you're getting paid on everybody's efforts, which can happen very quickly in IceGenix because they do pay you on everybody, and it's only 2 legs on unlimited depth. So you're only managing 2 teams. And so you're spending less and less time as your income's going up and up and up. And there's principles here that are really key to understand. And the better you live and understand those principles, the more effective you'll be at doing this. So where I was making, I don't know, somewhere around $30,000 a year as a mechanic after 15 years, I made my first check in IceGenix was $22. That was my first check. Now remember, we get paid weekly, but it was $22. In 6 years, I hit my first $1 million. And then in the next 6 years, there's another $9 million for a total of $10 million. And so I would have probably maybe reached $1 million in my lifetime as a mechanic, maybe. But here I am now at $1 million a year, so it's at $1 million a year, soon to be $1.5 million a year, right? Because this timeline keeps going with IceGenix because there's unlimited, or this money line potential is unlimited. We could just put an infinity sign on that with the compensation plan. So there's people in my downline that are making more than me, 2 million a year. You know, Emily Vavra, 31 years old, 2 million a year. And I got paid on all of her efforts. So the more money you're making, the less time you have to work. That's how this business model works. Now, they tell that in the industry, but it really pan out like that. They have blocking, they have different qualifications, they have cutoffs, and there's just all different types of limitations built into the compensation plan because they're not as generous as Jim and Kathy Cooper, John Anderson. Their vision to create more 6- and 7-figure income earners and the healthiest people on the planet. So it's really the generosity of Isagenix that allows us to enjoy this prosperity and this freedom on this level. You're not going to find this very unique in the industry. Even though this is what the industry touts, it's very uncommon. All right. Now, there's principles that I lived. Absolutely. I was very fortunate to be trained by Jimmy Smith, and many of you know Jimmy. He's the #1 all-time income earner in the company. And Jimmy Smith said, teach the power of 2, Dave. Teach the power of 2, and 100 BV is our best product. The power of 2 and 100 BV. This is the comp plan. All of this relates to, well, the comp plan and the 100 BV is going to be related to the products, right? That 100 BV is what allows me to have made this, no more or no less. 100 BV has allowed me to be in my home, these very comfortable, luxurious surroundings, nice neighborhood, nice dependable cars, great vacations, being able to support my kids when they need help after they've moved out, which we do all the time. Just so many blessings in our lives because of the 100 BV. And again, no more or no less, 100 BV. And the other thing that has allowed us to experience that is the power of 2. What do I mean by a power of 2? It means that when I got enrolled, I enrolled 1 on my left and 1 on my right, so person number 2. That's 2 people. So being a consultant, you could be the #1 income earner in our company. You could be all the way up here at 2 million a year as a consultant. And what we're talking about here that started in the beginning, and I think was a blessing, it was very fortunate the way I was, because not everybody was presented to this information the way I was that came into Isagenix and my mentors. But this is cycle pay. This is the passive residual. That's how I've always made, that's how Carrie and I have always made our money. This 10 million has been off of cycles, you guys. No bonuses, no PIBs. It's all been, well, there's some in there, but very minimal. I'd probably say less than $1,500 in bonuses that I've ever received in PIBs and bonuses. So it's all been cycle pay. A lot of people don't even know what a cycle is in Isagenix anymore. But that's where the freedom comes. This is where the freedom is. It's money that's going to be deposited into your bank account every week, every Monday, right? So 100 BV means that this customer right here is ordering 100 BV every 30 days. This customer is ordering 100 BV every 30 days, and I'm ordering 100 BV every 30 days. That's what allows me to live this lifestyle. So we're taking everything down to the lowest common denominator with wealth, creating wealth. And who can do that? Anybody that chooses to can do it. If these 2 wanted to do it, all that person would need to do is go out and enroll 2 people. 1, 2. This person just needs to go out and enroll 2 people. 1, 2. And as long as they're ordering their 100 BV, they are in the same scenario as I'm in. And they could become the top income earners in the company. But there's principles that they have to govern their actions by. And so there are some principles that you can live higher laws to, and some principles that you can live the lower law. So if we were going to look at these different principles, and we're going to look at them on a timeline or on a degree line, let's say this is the positive end, this is the negative end. The more I'm moving up to the positive end of the principle, the greater the blessings and the more inclusive it is. This is a more inclusive end. It's going to be more abundant. And what I mean by inclusive, it won't be just me that's making all the money or a few people. Inclusive means it's going to include a lot more people. The more I get up towards this plus sign, the more I'm down on the negative side, but still on the principle, I can still generate wealth, but it's going to be less inclusive. And by abundant, I'll still have wealth, but other people won't have as much wealth. There won't be as many other people that enjoy that wealth, okay? So that's a principle. You can't change that. That's immutable, just like gravity. And so we want to have insight and not get sidetracked. And if we're ignorant to it, then we could totally get sidetracked. Now, I want to bring up what some people in isogenics kind of rubs them the wrong way. But I hope in doing this presentation, I just open up another way for people to look at this, another perspective, another option, right? I'm not saying either way is bad. They're both on the principle. They're both living the principle. So we're going to go Pact versus 100 BV. And in this case, it's going to be the Forever Pact. It's actually like 108 BV. So we have isogenesis. I'm going to call it ISO-G. Let's do a capital G. It deserves a capital. ISO-G, isogenesis, and 1 shake a day. That's it. That's $158 plus the tax and shipping, and it's 108 BV, which would qualify us for this down here, right? Here's the 100 BV. Jimmy Smith says that's our best product. Over here, okay, so what's the benefit of doing 100 BV with the customer? Not for me, but for the customer. And I wrote this down on a 3x5 card to really get the heart of the message, rather than trying to have, argue with somebody about which way is better and which way is not. I'm just going to give you my testimony and what's coming from my heart. And that is, I've always been very passionate, as all of you, I'm sure, are very passionate about helping other people. But because my health was so dramatically turned around, and my energy and my mental clarity, and some of you know my story well, I become very passionate about health and wellness and helping other people when they're struggling to use this vehicle and these products to pull them out of that struggling to where they're thriving, because of how it's so dramatically changed my life. And it's my passion to meet and help these new people. So I want to effectively help them, inspire them, and helping them to reach higher and to stay engaged. I don't just want an introduction and a sell and then move on to the next person. I want to create relationships. I want to create meaningful relationships. And I want to have as many people as possible stay engaged and have this become the vehicle and the environment and the culture to reach higher, to aspire higher for the rest of their life, Okay, that's my ultimate goal. I call it bringing heaven to earth. Okay, so that's why I choose this way, not because I'm trying to be a rebel, or I just found that I have better results when I go with the 100 BV versus what I used to have to go with was a pack. We used to have a 9-day and a 30-day pack. So, and again, none of these are breaking principles. All of them have value. All of them are adding value to people's lives, both of them. There's value. We even have a pack called the Value Pack. There's value in both of them. All right? Now, but what could I say would be the pros for the customer? For sure, it's going to be cheaper, because we know that's one of the biggest reasons for people to reject or to decline getting started is the price point. We get rejected a lot because of the price. It's going to be simple. And as I've worked with people one-on-one and we've done little groups, these are things that they came up with on their own. As I said, what would be the pro for somebody getting started with 100 BV. And it's duplicatable. It duplicates. And because of that, the ultimate is the auto ship stays on. Oh, and another important thing to this, let me erase that. is that you get results. Okay, there we go. So the auto ship stays on. That's where you're going to get your passive and your wealth, because they're going to keep ordering their products from the company, which is now taking care of. Now, if we say 100 BD, we know that's a much smaller pack. We know that there's going to be things that would be the opposite with the value pack, or even a 30-day pack. I'll go as low as a 30-day pack. You know, it's going to be more expensive. Now, if we go with a value pack, it's a little over $600. If you do that times 2 for 2 people, you're going to be at $1,200 for a month, for 1 month. And there's going to be a blender and a free membership in there, right? Some of these add-ons. It's not simple. And these are not my own words. As I've asked people, these are the things that they've come up with. Okay, I didn't put words into anybody's mouth. It's complicated. And it's not duplicatable, especially if we're looking like in the first month, like that customer to turn around and do exactly what you did with them. The average customer. I'm not talking about the few that do it. I'm talking about the average across the board. It's not duplicatable. And let me just put a few things here to elaborate on that. The complication, I mean, let's just talk about a cleanse day, you guys. Probably one of our best products, but probably one of the most complicated. You know, let's talk about what you have to do and what you can't do on a cleanse day, and coaching people through that and keeping them motivated. You know, coming from a lifestyle where they've never done anything like that. Just that one day alone, let's add the other 7 days now and what they can eat and what they can't eat, and keeping them motivated, keeping them supported, getting past the challenges of taste and all these other reactions that people have. There's a lot of complications to it. The expensive side, there's some people that have a hard time. They've never asked anybody for their credit card, let alone $600 to $1,200. Just in those 2 categories right there, you're taking a lot of people out on this duplication right here, this part right here. There's not as many people that are able to duplicate that. Now, what happened here a few years back is they started, well, and let me just say this with the pack. A lot of people get overwhelmed when they see that pack show up. And so you say, okay, I'm going to call you on Wednesday when your pack shows up. And then you try and get a hold of them on Wednesday, and all of a sudden they go on the witness protection program. They're not answering your calls and they're not returning your text. You know they see your text, they're just not returning it because they're so overwhelmed. Like they got to get their mind wrapped around this. And so they're thinking, you know, I'm going to start this after, you know, the holidays, or I'm going to start this after I get back from vacation. And then their vacation's 3 weeks away, right? So they finally get on the phone with you and they let you know that, hey, I'm going to get started and when I get back from vacation, which you and I know you want this before you go on vacation and while you're on vacation, but they don't know that. So they're already made up their mind. They're going to do it when they get back from vacation. So by the time they get started on it, their auto ship's about to be sent out. And if you don't remind them about that auto ship and it sends out, that's not a good scenario, as many of you know. They've either called the company and asked why this product got sent, or they're calling you and say, how do I send this back? I can't have this right now. So what happens is, I'm going to say it, more times than not, the auto ship eventually gets turned off. And when you have a lot of product in that first sell, that's setting up for this. It's setting up for that auto ship to be turned off. But we have PIBs. And this is the lure this is what lures a lot of people into wanting to sell a value pack, because if you sell 2 value packs in a week, that could equal $400 in 1 week for making 2 sales. That's great. But if they turn the auto ship off, you just basically, you know, you killed this line right here. If people are turning their auto ships off and they can't feel like they can duplicate it, you totally turn this line off. And I know people that have been in for years and have enrolled a lot more people than I have. Some of them way more than double the amount of people that I've enrolled. And they're cycling like 5 times or less a week after years of being in isogenics. Because the principle, see the principle? Yeah, this is value. I'm not saying it's not, you guys. And I believe that they need to be on every one of these products. But like a car dealership, there's a front end and a back end. And the car dealerships, if you're familiar with them, they make all their money on the back end. Our back end is the auto ship. When they stay on and they add BV through other products that they add to their auto ship as they stay on the auto ship, they get started on the products, they have the results. And many times people are sharing the products. So this is the whole mindset behind this. And this is the reason why I really wanted to point this out. And this has come about really because of my desire to help other people like never before become platinum income earners. I've set the goal, I've set the intention, I've reached a lot of goals that I've had, and I even have a financial goal for myself still that's out there, but I changed the financial goal, I changed the wording to I'm a 4th level leader that produces platinum income earner after platinum income earner after platinum income earner. And you guys, you know that I teach the law of attraction and what your intentions are and what you visualize on and what you're feeling. And I have been working on that a lot, and this has been the result of what I've attracted to help and assist me to help more people get up to this maxed out center, 13,500 a week, platinum income earner, right? And then beyond, infinity and beyond. And I know that it's the power of 2 and 100 BV, just like Jimmy Smith. That principle didn't change. We were introduced to some things that were very attractive, but this principle has not changed. Why do you think Jimmy Smith was teaching that in the beginning? Because that's what leads to the financial freedom, to be able to do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, and not just you, but many other people. It's the lowest common denominator. It's asking the least of people. And so is this as they get on the products. So I put together an entire system now based on this. And on YouTube, we have 2 videos to support this system. Here's the Forever Pact. This is the introduction with isogenesis and a shake a day. It's 22 minutes. It spends about 10 minutes on each one. And that's it. That's what when you connect with people. We're going to go over the connecting piece in here in just a second. And before I do, I just want you to get ready, Amanda. I want you to come on and share, what's on your heart and what I've probably been working with you the most for a little over 2 months now. And where you were at and where you're at now, and kind of that perspective and kind of the struggles that you were going through mentally, like I went through. You guys, it was not easy for me to get to this point right here. It was through a lot of contemplation and introspection and asking questions and talking to people and calling the company and deciding finally what I was going to do. It wasn't an easy thing for me to whittle it down to this lowest common denominator. But there was this thing planted in my heart, the long-term vision that I could see and the challenges that I would be able to overcome that I was already facing at that point for about 6 years. And so it's come down to what it is. And I know Amanda's gone through the same thing. I think everybody that's been in isogenesis for a certain amount of time is going to go through that little bit of, that mindset challenge. And so through the connection piece that I'm going to go over with after Amanda shares here, we involve this compensation plan on the Forever Pact. And it just breaks it down on the lowest common denominator of how to create some extra income to get their products paid for, to get their cell phone and their credit cards paid down and pay for their products, maybe have a little bit of money left over, maybe, buying, a new car or whatever the case might be. And then just facilitating it right through this very simple laid out compensation plan that Jimmy Smith, it's how Jimmy Smith taught me. All right. So let me just, before I go into, so that's on YouTube, my Mechanic to Millionaire channel. What I would do is when you click on one of these videos, there's a share button right here. And I would copy this link right here and put it in your contact list in your phone. So you're going to go into your contact list like you're saving somebody's phone number and name in there. Go in there and put Forever Pact comp plan. And then paste this in the notes of your contact so that you can copy and paste it very easily without having to go to YouTube. Maybe you can't even get on YouTube. Maybe your internet's slow or your Wi-Fi or your cell data. You'll have it in here where you can text it to somebody, readily available, right there in your contacts. Do the same thing with the products. Put Forever Pact product presentation and then get the link and paste it into your contact list right in your phone. All right. So that's the channel that it's on, Mechanic to Millionaire on YouTube. And a lot of the leaders have put it in their Facebook groups. We have it in the files at ISA Team M2M. If you're not a part of the ISA Team M2M or your group, your leaders group that they may have, then get in there and they should have that in their files. So Amanda, I just want to share with you, you've been in Isagenix I want you to share, kind of this process that you've been through in the. And then Malcolm, I wouldn't mind having you come on as well after Amanda and kind of talking about that $150 price point and what you learned after being in this industry for 20 or 30 years and in one company for 28 years, what that price point really means for the general public across the board, Isagenix or not, just in this industry. But Amanda, I'm going to unmute you. Let's see. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Dave for just being here and helping us all. It's been absolutely amazing. I think the hardest thing for me was that I had signed up over 300 people in 2.5 years, and it was for 1 month. And I had 100-pound losers in my organization. People that have gotten to 80 pounds, and I felt like I was an amazing coach. And why were they dropping off? Like, why did they just keep dropping off? They lost 100 pounds, they lost 80 pounds their first month, they lost 20 pounds, but their auto ships didn't stay on. People just couldn't stay motivated with that, and it was $300+ every month for them to stay on. So what I found with the 100 BV was, and the isogenesis and a shake, it's so duplicatable. The biggest thing that I've noticed in the last couple of months is my team. My team is completely taking off. I have people that I thought would never be able to sign someone else up, and they're doing it all on their own. So that's been amazing. And it's just really, really simple. And the most important part, because I know I loved shake, I loved cleansing, I loved all of that. And I actually really struggled when I first started with the 100 BV after Dave got a hold of me. And my husband got a hold of me and said, "You're not going back to what you were doing. You have to stay on the tracks and keep doing what Dave's telling you." And it is totally paid off. I'm glad I didn't, veer away. Something that he told me that really stuck out for me was, I have a friend that just hit millionaire, and it took her 15 years. She's a nutritionist. We were working really close together. Amazing, amazing coach. And it's only taken Dave has been in for 14 years and already made $10 million. So that really stood out for me. And I love coaching my people, and I love the whole Pacts. And I felt like I was failing because I wasn't, my people were dropping off and I was doing something wrong. It wasn't sustainable for people to do that much. So,
yeah. It's been awesome watching this and being involved and just really watching you flourish as a leader and rise up and watch and the results that have already been coming in off of just the isogenesis and the shake a day. I'm looking at Chantel right here, and I'm just thinking her results are off the charts in 3 days, right? And I think a lot of people think that you're not going to get the results that you get, like you get when you're cleansing and ionics and all of those things together, which I agree. Every time you add a product in Isagenix, it's going to make things better. But guys, we could build a business off of any one product out of the 4 pillars. We could just, if our company only had shake, I could build an incredible business out of the shake. If our company only had cleanse, I could build an incredible business just with the cleanse. Now, isogenesis, John Anderson says that's the greatest discovery of our time. That's his greatest product ever. And people just they haven't seen what I've seen. They haven't learned what I've learned. They haven't been engaged in what I've been engaged in. But you have now, just in a short amount of time. What would you say about the results that people are getting off of just a shake? Not just, but if we're going to say just, it's very simple, but taking a shake a day and isogenesis, the normal amount.
Just over the last month, the messages that I've gotten from people that have done isogenesis in a shake, and a lot of people that had dropped out that I had them do that, you wouldn't believe the messages that I'm getting and how life-changing it is. Dave, I think that, so Chantel, when I asked her to maybe say something, what she said was like so on point.
Should I unmute Chantel?
I think you should.
Let's unmute Chantel. All right. Let me get it. There you go. Chantel, you are live. Thanks for being here tonight. We can't hear you. It says you're unmuted. Try moving your screen. Is your mic, maybe your mic for some reason isn't picking up on the computer. Try unmuting yourself. I'm gonna.
If she can't, then I can tell you what she said.
Try it again. Say something, Chantel. No, it's not working. Maybe call Amanda and then, or call me and I'll put it on speakerphone. I'm calling you, Chantel.
Maybe she's on her phone to Zoom.
I'm sorry, the person you were...
I'll bet she is. So,
let's see if she's doing something. Here we go. Just give her just a sec. Can't hear you. Do you want to, can you call me? Can you call? Well, let's just go ahead. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get Chantel. So if you can call me, Chantel, call me on my phone. And Amanda, just go ahead and share with us kind of her story.
Okay.
What she shared.
So I asked her to share, I said, Dave wants you to share maybe a little bit of your story and why someone doesn't have to be like broken down, older to use isogenesis. And she's had a completely amazing story with isogenesis. But, and then I told her that we wanted to speak about the 100 BV and the power of that. And she said, well, I don't really know what that's like because all I started with was a shake.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Are you there now, Chantel?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry,
perfect.
I was trying to tell you to unmute me.
I did. It just wasn't working.
So, okay. All right. So my story is that she was telling me, but I just really loved that you came out with this because that's kind of how I started. So I started on the shakes only. And then I did like 4 months on the shakes. And then I added the belly buster. So then I got the protein and the greens and the fruit. And then after that, I was like, well, I think I might try the cleanse. So then I got a bottle of cleanse. And it's just gone from there. And now I have the cleanse and the joint support and the isogenesis and the pre-workout. And it's just exactly what you talk about as far as starting simple and letting the people add their own products and go from there instead of overwhelming everybody and just getting everything at once. And now I'll be on it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and you didn't even know really about isogenesis. Amanda introduced that to you, and then that changed your life, didn't it?
Yes. It will forever change my life.
Her story's amazing with her back, you guys, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go into stories here. I just kind of wanted to get some confirmation from people that, we're doing the packs, and Amanda, you probably enrolled twice as many people as I have. And the simplicity of this, you now see the duplication and the customer staying on. And again, thank you, Chantel, so much. Thank you. And Amanda, the adding, and what Amanda was saying, the back end, and I don't know any instances of people, I'm not aware of anybody that didn't add more to their BV getting started on the isogenesis. And we'll finish with this one here, and then I'm going to go into the connecting piece in that chart, and you guys can print that up. But I want to go to Malcolm real quick, and just the price point as well. It's not just the simplicity, it's the price point that's a big deal as well, isn't it, Malcolm?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. The previous company I was with for 28 years that had an exact price point of his and her isogenesis is around $170. And the previous company I was with would do $300 every 2 months for a couple. So it was almost identical. So I know the price point is correct. And I also wanted to point out, guys, that if Dave had talked anything about any other product but isogenesis, that would have been the shortest conversation he ever had with me, because the company I was with already had a shake, and I already felt like I already knew what was going on with shake and cleanse and all that other stuff. I had a head full of misinformation, and the only product that would have succeeded was the isogenesis, the product B, the telomere product. There was no other alternative. And I've got 61 people now that have taken the product, and I've got
that you personally enrolled.
That I personally enrolled, and I've got one full-time worker, and then I've got one couple who are talented enough to be considered a full-time worker. Okay, one on the left, one on the right. And I think about the story with Alex. Alex had already been approached, right? She had already been approached twice about isogenesis. And
Isogenics.
Isogenics, right? The other products. And so I'm not sure that we would have been able to recruit her. I know she's on the call here tonight, so we might want to ask her that. And then with John and Shelley Meyer, their miracle and the enticement for them to come to a meeting was the isogenesis product B. Yeah. And that was John's first miracle, and it was my family's first miracle, and it's what got me in the door, and I believe it's what got John Meyer in the door, and eventually Shelley, okay, because they segued to the other products later and had other miracles happen the way I did. But
another great point, Malcolm, if I can just interject here, is in less than 2 years, you're cycling at 20 times a week consistently, cycles.
Right. And the previous company I was with, the president said, our company will never, ever, ever have a catalog. Ever. They had a very small product line because I believe he understood duplication. And that's really what we're talking about, is this product duplicates.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of packs. I've done a president's pack. Very hard to get a hold of that guy. I think he lost 100 pounds, but he's not duplicating. I know Vince Tolman's on the line. Had a very, very, very talented lady that bought a pack. She just sent it back. It was overwhelming. And even though I intensely trusted you, Dave, I had already had my miracle with isogenesis. when my 30-day system arrived and I laid it out on the kitchen table, I was overwhelmed. I was. What do I do with all this stuff? How do I do a cleanse? All this other stuff. And, you know, you spent an hour with me and that worked, but it's because I trusted you deeply because I already had a miracle, right?
Okay,
if you told me a pack right out of the gate, I'm not sure you and I would be talking, okay? Yeah. Now, and think about this, guys. You know, Dave talks about reentry, and reentry is where you get triple commissions, okay? So for every dollar I earn, Dave earns 3, okay? First 11 months, I earned $33,000. What do you think Dave earned? Mm-hmm. He earned a 6-figure income, okay? If he had approached me with a pack, he would be minus that 6-figure income. I promise you. Yeah. I know that for a fact, okay? So this is huge that we're having this conversation. You know, I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. That's powerful, very powerful. All right, so again, just speaking from our hearts, you guys, I'm not wanting to debate the PACs and the PIBs. I'm just educating, just like we do with our customers with the products. I'm educating, you decide. And I think that we've gotten pretty clear on, you know, educating and showing the pros and the cons and what that leads to. So now let's get into this Forever Pack flowchart. And it's simple, 7 steps. And so I'm going to go through this. It's going to be recorded, so you'll be able to go back and listen. But I'm just going to go through and kind of pick out some of these points and elaborate on them a little bit. So we're still connecting with people like we always have. We just want to simplify this. So let me blow that up. All right. So in the connecting piece, you're still out there. Hey, I like your shoes, or your hair looks great. You know, you're just connecting with somebody. And however you do that. And if you don't do that, then you can say, hey, your shoes look great. Where'd you get those? You just did a connection. And you'll see where it goes from there by making that, because leaders go first. If you don't say something to a person out in public, they're probably not going to say something to you, right? Even though people like to talk and like to, you know, converse. So it's your blouse, your bracelet. Where'd you get that, right? Yeah, I like how your hair looks, okay? You could ask them, what do you do in that conversation? And just to take that conversation a little further. Now, you don't have to, but if you want to make big money, if you want to be a professional networker, you have to be like a professional realtor. The realtor has an agenda for every person he's talking to, and his agenda is not this. I'm going to connect with them. I'm going to get their Facebook or their LinkedIn or their Instagram, and I'm going to develop a relationship with them over the next 2 months, and they're going to see my life, and we're going to connect, and they're going to ask me what I'm doing. That's not what a professional realtor is going to do when they make a contact. When they get with the contact, before that realtor leaves, what is that person going to know about them? I'm a realtor. I am so passionate about helping people find their dream home or selling their home really fast. I've been doing this, and I'm very passionate about it. If you're selling, here's my card. Are you looking to buy or sell a home, and do you know anybody that is? And then he gives them 2 cards. Every person they talk to. I know a guy that did that with 25 people every day right here in St. George. So he had an agenda every time he went up. Does anybody think, what a jerk? That guy can't talk to me. Like, no, nobody thinks that. He's just doing the numbers. But he has an agenda, and he's going right for the, yeah, I got a house I need to sell, or I do know somebody that's selling a house. Or, you know what, I am looking for a house. I'm just in town. Does that happen? Yeah, absolutely, that would happen. So nobody gets mad at him for him sharing what he does and handing a card. Now, some people they could be annoyed, but big deal. He's still got to do that, right? To be a professional realtor, that's what you do. But 9 times out of 10, people are not going to be annoyed. And if you do it right, you can create a really good friend. In fact, you could end up having some of the best friendships you've ever had. Think about that line with the negative on one side and the positive on the other side, and it's building relationships. As a business person, you could be up on that plus side, and you can have so many friends that you could have never dreamed your life could have had so many friends, right? Because you're up on that high plus side, not just as a person, as a business person. So in the conversation, you're just going to let them know, like the realtor, hey, I'm very passionate about helping people with their health because of where my health used to be, what I learned, and where my health is now. It's forever changed my life. You know, so if there was 1 or 2 things that you could improve about your health, what would be at the top of the list for you? Nobody's going to get mad at you for asking that question. And probably 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you something. If they're not in a good mood or they're just a rude person, then they may say, you know what, I don't, you know, they'll give you, they'll shrug, what do they call it? Shrug you off. They'll just get in your face about it or whatever, but that's not going to kill you, right? That's 1 out of 10 that might do that. If you do this right, that is so congenial and so non-abrasive, especially when you speak it from the heart. How you deliver, how that really is everything. How you deliver what your passion is and why it's your passion is everything. And you're kind of like telling a testimony from the heart, and they can feel that. And so even if they say, well, you know, everything's fine with my health, then you could be like the realtor that really needs the money, right? They got to pay their mortgage. They got to sell a house this month. Then you can say, do you know anybody that is concerned about a couple of things with their health? Kathy Cooper always asked for referrals. That's how she built her business. You could even say, it just depends on what's going to work best for you. So do you know anybody that has like 1 or 2 things that they would really like to improve with their health? Well, yeah, absolutely. My mom, she's struggling right now. We've been looking for something. And by the way, me too, you know, who knows what that'll turn into? Or they might not even mention their mom. They say, yeah, me, right? I had this knee problem and I'm thinking about getting surgery, but I don't want to get surgery, right? So when they tell you the 1 or 2 things, this is the deal where you can make incredible relationships. This is why I love 3-way calls. I can connect with people and have this incredible moment that just could be this most amazing experience for me and the other person on the line. On a 3-way call is when they tell me 1 or 2 things that they're having problems with. If they say pain, I would say right here for number 4, I almost wrote it in there. Prove that I listened. So I'm going to ask them the 1 or 2 things, and then I'm going to prove that I listened to them. Look, David Wood, and I learned this just as you know, in sales, you learn from your mistakes and you get better and better and you pay attention, right? No one cares about my story. They only care about their own. And David Wood had that on the screen at UIA where they teach us how to do this business in Isogenics, right? University in Action. No one cares about your story. They only care about their own. And we use our story as a hook, as a relatable way for somebody else to open up, to be transparent. The more transparent you are with people, the more they're going to open up to you. So I'm going to prove that I listened right here, because it's not about me telling them my story and then the products. That's what a lot of amateur and beginning network marketers do. They go right to their story and right to the products and why their products are the best. Big mistake. Connect with the person. That saying, nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. This is where you do that. So if they said, yeah, pain and energy, then you're going to say, oh, what's going on with the pain? Where's it at? Did something happen? What's going on? And then they start to tell you about their pain. Do not cut them off. Let them share, and then ask follow-up questions about their pain. You are building an incredible relationship of trust, because remember, no one cares about your story. They only care about their own. Listen to this very carefully. You showing interest in their pain, you might be the only person that's ever listened to interest with that person. That person could be your best friend before you leave that conversation, because you're listening to them, and every human being has a very profound desire to be heard and understood. And when you ask questions about their pain and you follow up with follow-up questions, so what happened? Well, how did that happen? Well, how long's that been happening? You know, and you ask these questions, and when you're in the moment and you're listening, it's easy to ask follow-up questions, but it's not easy if you don't understand the principle. And then to really prove that I listened, once we're done talking about their pain, I'm going to say, you said something about your energy. What's going on with that? You know, I used to drink a lot of caffeinated drinks to get me through the day. What's going on there? And then you let them talk about their energy. Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the morning? Do you sleep good at night? Or what's going on? And let them talk about it, you guys. Now you just built a relationship of trust. You had find out questions. I would write that down. Find out questions and building a relationship of trust by listening and asking more find out questions, follow-up questions, so that you can prove you listened, because nobody cares about your story. Now, to give them some social proof, you are going, this is Eric Worre, right? You're going to share your passion of why it happened to you. 7 seconds on each bullet point, 7 seconds or less. You know, I can totally relate to your energy and lack of it. I used to fall asleep at stoplights. I mean, I was tired all the time, no matter how much I slept. I needed, you know, stimulants to get me through the day, which were just ruining my health even more. And my wife was introduced to some products at an expo. And I was so skeptical, I didn't buy them. But my wife entered a drawing and we won them. And I can't tell you, that has dramatically changed my life. I don't drink stimulants anymore. I haven't had them in 13 years. I have more energy than I ever could have imagined I've had. And it's been over 13 years. And I am so passionate about helping people to find their solution with what I found and what I've learned. So if I could give you some information on how we could directly address those challenges that you're having, would you be interested in taking a look at that? If you deliver that right, you guys, were they going to say no? They're going to be sure. And this is where we get into, you pull that video out that you have saved in your contact list. No matter what their challenge is, you guys, it's always isogenesis and a shake a day. I don't care if they say that they feel like they have a lot of toxins in their body. It's always isogenesis and a shake a day. Do you know that those two products have built within them your body's ability to help them cleanse as well? The catalase that is produced just off of the isogenesis alone is off the charts. They've never seen anything like it. And to start fueling your organs with that nutrition so that those organs start cleansing the way they're supposed to before you introduce them to the cleanse down the road on the back end with the auto ship. Baby steps. It's always isogenesis and shake. It's always the Forever Pact. And you could say that. I'm going to send you this video on what I call the Forever Pact. This is going to be what, if you're like me, this is what you're going to want to be on forever. You're going to want your kids on it. You're going to want your spouse on it. So what's your phone number? And I'm going to text you this right here. And you pull your phone out and you text it to it right there. You could even pull it up. Did it come through? Okay, click on that. See if it starts playing. Yeah, now you can watch that. Can I call you back tomorrow night and see, or can I call you back tonight? You know, depending what time of the day it is, you have to set up the appointment. Now, what you want to do is you want to hang a carrot out there. So you're going to set up that follow-up. So look, people are going to notice what starts happening to you. They did with me, and they started asking me what I was doing. So when people start to ask you what you're doing because they notice, do you have a problem with telling them how that happened? No? Great. Because I can help you talk to them. And if you'll refer them to me, I can help you to start getting your products paid for. Would you be interested in that? Absolutely. There it is, you guys. And then step 7, George Ruiz. I put take me to your leader because George Ruiz used to say it in that funny voice. Take me to your leader. George Ruiz was like the 13th millionaire in isogenics, lifetime network marketer. You want to get them to one of us in the upline, right? Whoever your upline is, that's going to be that third person validation and somebody that can talk to that person for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to have JoJo come on here and share, the people that are not taking them to their leader are not moving their businesses forward. They don't understand the principle behind taking them to your leader. You're telling that person, you have to know everything about this to be able to explain it to other people. When you get them on with your leader, you're subliminally saying to them, I can take the people that I want to get on this to my leader. And therefore, I can start duplicating this today. I can start duplicating this tomorrow. And Amanda's already been having that happen for her. So take me to your leader. And the upline leader is just going to follow up the same way and listen and then give some more added information, some greater depth on the product and leading them to the YouTube videos that are more in depth and having some information to share with them over the phone. And all the people that I've been doing this with, you're getting, you know, that I've been doing this on a one-on-one, the 45-second presentation book. You have to get that. It teaches you how to teach the power of 2. It's not even from our company. It's from Don Fela. He's built 3 businesses with over 100,000 people in them, 3 downlines. And he teaches you how to teach the power of 2. And then how to teach your people how to teach it. So you've got to get that book, because when you become that upline leader, right now there's a few of us that are leaders that are going to be that upline support for you. But that leadership is going to grow and grow and grow because of the tracks we're running on. It's very simple. I saw another leader post their program, and I saw a comment on one of the comments on Facebook, and it said, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I'm going to spend this next 6 months really learning this. 6 months? That's a lot of information. How many people are going to totally commit to 6 months to studying the program? You guys, you can learn this in a day. You can learn this, and you're going to get better and better through listening to the upline leader. And you're using the tools. You're using those 2 videos. They're always the go-to videos. So as we have people running on these tracks, it's created this synergy. It's created unity. Everybody knows, and everybody that's coming in learns the same way. We create a back end that I think is going to draw huge attention. And today might be my biggest week ever. I think I need to have one more cycle, and it'll be my biggest week ever. And that's in the middle of December, you guys. Yeah. So Jojo, you know, the whole 45-second presentation, and also getting them to the leader, right? Even with people we've already been doing this with, we haven't been getting phone calls from them. Either they're not talking to people, or they're trying to do it on their own, trying to facilitate it, trying to avoid that uncomfortableness. Whatever the case might be, I'm telling you, that's not serving you. My number one goal, and I wrote it down on this card so I wouldn't forget, when I first got in, my number one goal with every person I talked to was to get them on the phone with Lenny Evans. Because I knew Lenny knew how to talk to them better than I did, and I knew that there was a principle behind it. And I learned through like being on the job training, shadowing Lenny Evans, that was my number one goal. My intention was to get them on the phone with Lenny, and there's many of you that are not doing that, and you're missing out. Jojo, there you go, you're unmuted.
Hi.
Jojo's a millionaire in the company as well. You guys have been working with Jojo for 13 years, and you might give a little bit of elaboration on, you know, getting a little bit distracted, a little off course, and whatever you feel, you know, you might want to share, and then we'll end up with any questions you guys have.
It's good. So what's really coming to my mind to share is that, you know, for the first, I don't know, however long in the beginning of this, we shared packs. I got to 2-star, and I stayed at 2-star for a long time, you guys, years, like at 2-star, working to get to 3-star, doing packs. When we shifted over and started doing product B, isogenesis, and you know, 2 shakes, or isogenesis and a cleanse and ionics, or whatever we were doing back then. Sometimes it was just 2 bottles of isogenesis. I went from 2-star to 4-star in 4 months. Get that? Like 4 years at 2-star, 4 months to go from 2 to 4 once we shifted over. And then
how much of an increase is that? That's like
that's from like 25-ish cycles a week to 60.
Yeah, so that's a 6-figure income, 60, you guys.
Yeah.
That's a 6-figure income increase in 4 months.
And the big thing about that was that, you know, it was funny because you think that I would remember that. But as we got in, I started to feel like I needed to share all the other stuff. So I when we reverted back and started doing bigger packs and bigger things and looking at the bonuses and doing all that other stuff, things were not going as quick. Not only were they not going as quick, the retention wasn't as good. We had people I have people who still just order 2 bottles of isogenesis that have been there for years and years and years. But now, what I realized is that all this time in, had we not spent that time in the beginning and created that way back then, that the foundational cycles that have stabilized in my business would not be there. So we see that a lot of times where people shoot up really fast in the beginning and then their cycles go down, but they shoot up really fast because they get all these bonuses. And not that the bonuses aren't great. It's great, quick money, but it's not residual. It's not the money that comes in every night while you sleep. It's not the money that comes in while you're on the beach, right? Those foundational cycles are what people desire. That's the time and choices. And so when we see the difference between that and and the quick money bonuses, it's a huge difference. Because, and I'm sure Dave, and I missed the beginning, sorry, I was at dinner with Mom for her 89th birthday.
Nice. Who loves isogenesis and would never get on any of the other products, right?
Right, and tried to not take that, but now she's doing extras, so she knows. And she's paying for it herself now. I used to pay for it for her, but she pays for it herself now. How do you like that? Total sidetrack. But in the beginning of what you were saying tonight, you may have talked a little bit about, looking at the bonuses and rolling and not being able to duplicate. Yeah. When we live in that world, right, that's salesman mentality. We're just being a salesman every day. We're not creating financial freedom and residual income when we're not able to duplicate what we're doing. Right? So nothing wrong with salesmen, all you salesmen out there who want to do that, that's totally fine. I prefer to teach a couple of people who teach a couple of people who teach a couple of people. Yeah. And I'm glad to see my couple of people on the call tonight. Hi, guys. But,
yeah, and Jojo, while I have you unmuted, this 6 sets them up for when you take them to your leader. So when you're setting up that follow-up appointment, that's when the leader is on that call with you. You can either set up a Zoom or a phone call. If it's a 3-way phone call, I like to get people to the Zoom. As soon as possible, I could get them to a Zoom where I can show them some more things. So whatever way you decide to do that, you've got to get them to
well, that's where the magic happens, right? Yeah. So that's where the magic happens, because not only do you have somebody that's helping you, so that's credibility on the other side, not only is the person that's on that 3-way with you, the person that you've invited, getting the benefit of all of that knowledge, but you're getting the benefit of that knowledge because you're learning how to now do that with them. So you become that person now moving down the line. So, the situation, right, is I do, you watch, I do, you help, and then that switches. You do, I help, you do, I watch, and then you go teach somebody else. That's duplication.
Yeah. And you can still get the bonuses from consultant, $50.
Absolutely.
Manager, $500. Director, $750.
And every time you become a consultant with the $100, or every time you create a consultant, all of that stuff didn't exist when we started. That's all benefit of how well the company's done, is adding all of that stuff in. So
and think about
that.
Think about this too. You're doubling your money back with just hitting manager. You're doubling your money back when you do a forever pack. Just hitting manager. You with a doing the value pack and the PIBs. If 2 people signed up in the household, you haven't paid all your money back on your products.
Yeah.
In what business do you double your money back after just enrolling 2 people who enroll 2? That price point is a huge. I mean, now you're getting them paid on bonuses before they're even cycling. But I'm telling you, what happens is when so many people start duplicating, it doesn't take very many people. I replaced my income, you guys, off of cycles. That's all we had back then. Because I was so focused and I was doing it the right way. The power of 2 is I replaced my income in 4.5 months. On just cycles. There was no bonus. There wasn't even a consultant bonus back then. It was all cycles. And that's all it is today. It's all cycles. So there's a couple questions here, and some people privately, posted some questions. So some people said, that's what we've done. We just keep adding more and more products. Somebody else said, yeah, I've just been using the dairy-free shakes, and I can tell that they're cleansing my body just from taking the shakes. It's a 1-2 punch with the isogenesis, and it's a really solid 1-2 punch. If they consistently stay on those products every day, day in and day out, they will have an impact. And if they don't, you're still having fewer that don't and stop their auto ship than those that do and keep the auto ship going with all the products. It's not, if it was like a toss up, then I wouldn't even be on the phone with you guys. We wouldn't be here. But it's not even a close toss up with the people that may not feel the results, or for whatever reason. You're always going to have attrition. We've just minimalized it dramatically when you keep it simple. Smart people, right?
It's really the bit, you know what it is something that we've always known. We've always known that the 100 BB is, that we've heard it 1,000 times. That's the glue, the auto ship, the 100 BV auto ship is the glue that holds the compensation plan together. I've heard that. I've heard Jimmy Smith say it 500 times, at least, in 13 years. And it's so funny that just to now put it together in this really simple way of going 100 BV is our best product and the power of two, teaching people that and going back to the basics. I have so many people who have just now are like having these huge ahas who have been here for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years or more and are seeing the simplicity of this and going back to the basics and feeling excited again about teaching this. So
yes. Amanda, I just want you to come on and then I'm going to open it up the lines. I've gone through all the questions. I don't see any question. Amanda, like, even with Casey, you kind of mentioned it already, that you wanted to go back. I had a hard time. I called and I talked to Mac Larson and told him what I wanted to do. And he said, Dave, that's the beautiful thing about this industry. You get to build your business however you want. He gave me permission to do it with just Product B back then. And that's from the corporate, right? And so again, Amanda, I know you touched on it a little bit already, but because there's going to be people right now that have been sharing the products. They're so... You guys, I eat more isogenics than anything else. If anybody can swear by the product, well, I'm not going to say swear by the product. If anybody could say they need to be on all these products and stop eating everything from the store, I'm right there at the top of that list. But I understand human nature and the challenges, the pros and cons, not just because I thought it out, it's because I've experienced it. Right. So the mental thing that people might be going through, I just want you to address that again real quick, Amanda, then I'm going to unmute all of the lines. Okay, you're unmuted.
So like, what are you talking about with that?
Would you say that was a real thing for you? Like you almost started going back to, because you were listening to other people and you start going back to the habitual way of doing things. It wanted to pull you back off of these tracks, right?
Yes. I didn't see the double PIBs coming in, but I seen my cycles going up still. The only reason I was cycling before was because of double PIBs and because of my signups that week. Now I'm cycling on someone that's getting 100 BV the next month. It's not, so that's the residual income. So I seen that, but I
mentally it's still you still have a hard time with it, right? Just because everybody sees this and they might agree with it, they're still going to have a hard time sticking to it, right? I mean, you had a hard time, but you stayed engaged. We were on the phone a lot, right?
Yes. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me is three-way calls, because you get fired up and like this, like every time I listen to you, I'm so excited for tomorrow because it just gets me all hyped up again. And I can think of so many more people after I get off a three-way call, just hearing the stories that your leader is telling gives you an idea of who can I bless next. Mm-hmm. Because you're hearing those super powerful stories of people and their results. And you have a million people going through your heads of who you can help. I think the biggest thing has been seeing my team grow with this. And that's amazing. Because my team was not growing before. It was, how hard is it to teach somebody how to sign someone up on the Pact? I had, and he might be on here tonight, but I had someone that didn't know a lot about computers. I went and helped them walk through their website, showed them how to become an associate if they wanted to. They wanted to become an associate right then, and they could think of a bunch of people that we had talked about that we could help. And I think by the time I got home that night after meeting with him, he had enrolled his daughter on his own on isogenesis and a shake.
He was already in isogenics, right? He was already in, and the auto ship was turned off, right? Is that correct?
Yes. He signed up on a Pact and couldn't do the system. And so I had revisited him and asked him to just take a look at isogenesis and not even a shake. So he started on isogenesis, and him and his whole family are getting amazing results already. And this has been really quick. So.
And he came, we did 2 meetings now for you. We did 2 presentations. He was at one of them, and a great guy, great family. I'm excited to work with them, and they're excited too. So you guys, I'm going to open this up. Thank you, Amanda, Jojo, Malcolm, Chantel, and everybody for what you're doing and for showing up tonight. And let me just unmute. And if anybody has anything you want to share or say, this is the time to do it. Malcolm. Okay, everybody's unmuted. So, and if you're not, you might need to unmute yourself, but you can. So anybody want to say anything? If not, we're going to stop the recording and I'll post this in the Facebook group.
Hey, Dave, I had a couple of tips. That sheet that you published is brilliant. And Tina was asking, she's got a bunch of interest cards from an event and is nervous about calling them. And I just wanted to mention that everybody gets nervous calling, okay? And one of the things that I did this weekend, I was going to call a lady who was running for county commissioner, and I called her to find out what her political opinions were and if I had a vote for her. And I was nervous about calling her because she lost the election, and I know she's not some kind of person that would sit around. So one of the things I did was I wrote out what I was going to say, and on the Network Marketing Pro invitation worksheet. And the most important part of that worksheet, you put very first, which was the love connection, to identify something you like about that person. And with this lady, I had to write that out, because what impressed me about her, so that it wouldn't slip my mind, I wouldn't get tongue-tied, I would have it in writing. And then, of course, the conversation went really well. She wants to meet you. And basically I said, if I could get you in front of Dave MacArthur, would you join us for an event? And she said, yeah. When's he coming to town? And that's the most brilliant question in network marketing. If I would you, is that Eric Worre question. And I'm so glad you embedded that in your dialogue. That's brilliant. And I'm really impressed with what you put together there. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Malcolm. You've been such a great blessing to so many people's lives. He has so many life-changing stories for people that he's shared with you guys. And there's another one up around the corner. Who knows who that's going to be, but thank you, Malcolm. And also, if we're not doing a presentation in your area, you guys, I've done lots of Zooms with people that don't get to places where there are presentations. 3-way calls and Zooms. That's enough a lot of times.
Well, and I'm going to send her your video so she gets a sneak preview, because your presentation, there's a lot there. And so I want her to be warmed up on what a telomere is. I want her to have some of that out of the way. So I'm going to send her your video by way of introduction. So she's got a pretty good idea of what you're going to talk about before we get together. And I also want to mention, guys, I'm as good as anybody at talking to strangers. Okay. When Dave and I went to the Fresno Whole Food Market, when he was in the bathroom and I was waiting outside, there's a bulletin board. So I took all the cards off the bulletin board, and Dave asked me, well, what are you going to do with those? And I said, well, I'm just going to call all of them. And we went back to the room and I systematically called every one of them. And one of those ladies that was on that bulletin board was having lunch with Dave the next day. So I really do know how to talk to people, but I wouldn't dream of trying to do this on my own. Right. Okay. So that take me to your leader, that George Ruiz thing. He's the number 13 millionaire. Trust me, even I do that. Okay.
Yeah, and there's no reason, you know it all. You don't have to do that for them to get the information.
I do.
You know what that means.
I've been doing this 30 years, okay?
Yeah.
I know how to talk to people, but I've still put them in front of you. What's that about? Because it works.
Yeah, exactly. All right, anybody else?
I guess that'll be on your website, huh?
It's on ISA Team M2M Facebook group under the files. You can go and print that up.
Oh, good.
Those 7 steps. It's right there for you to print up.
Yeah, and it's just another phenomenal addition to Eric Worre. Yeah, I mean, just another incredible, basically doing the same thing, but customized for us. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and when you ask them about in that step 6, if they're interested in getting their products paid for, depending on how deep that conversation goes, you might be sending them the compensation plan video before the follow-up. You might be sending 2 videos to them, one right behind the other. Like I did a meeting for Heather on Saturday, and there was somebody in the audience. You never know who's there. Just a small little in-home presentation. And we just showed the consultant. And as I'm cleaning up and they're asking questions, she says, so how many levels do you pay? This is somebody in the audience that I had no clue was interested in the business. But she said, how many levels do you pay? You know what that means to me? That's ding, 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 networker. Nobody but a networker would ask that question. Right? And so what did I say to Heather? Get her on the phone with me. That's a follow-up. We got to get on the phone and do a Zoom training with her ASAP.
Because infinite levels is better than 5 levels, or five generations is what I was pinged on. Trust me, unbelievable.
Exactly. Okay, you guys, I don't see anybody else popping in here, so.
Dave, I was going to say something. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Who's that?
Melody.
Oh, hey, Melody.
I'm not on the Zoom. I had to actually go on my phone. But anyway, I've been listening to your podcast. I've been listening to you for a long time, and it is so amazing because I've really started doing some things, to put my business first. And I talked to a lady. I've talked to her like 3 or 4 times at the grocery store, and I talked to her again tonight. And we were talking, and I finally, we just would chat things. And I finally asked her. I said, have you ever heard of Isogenics? And she says, no. She says, but I do Mary Kay. And I went, really? So network marketing? And she goes, yeah. And her big thing with Mary Kay was having to spend all the money to have inventory because you have to spend money. So anyway, I set up an appointment with her, and I told her, I said, my desire is to get you on the phone with a Zoom call, and we could do a Zoom call. And so it's just, you never know who you're talking to. I mean, I had no clue that she was even involved with Mary Kay, and she's been involved with Mary Kay for like 14 years.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting out there and doing the work, you guys. And the work is fun when you do it right. When you know your scripts and you've learned them and they're smooth, which doesn't happen the first time, when you get comfortable with that, it's fun, you guys. It's the not knowing and not working on your scripts that's painful. You've got to get in there and write that out. What I would say for all of you is write out everything that you're going to say in that conversation based on those 7 steps. Write it all out and then read it and read it and read it and then put it on a 3x5 card in bullet points and then look down at the cards and glance and be practicing. And I would practice in the car because I didn't like to have people hear me practice here at home. And they just got in my head. Even if I heard somebody walking out in the hallway with the door shut, I would stop. So go somewhere where no one's going to hear you and practice your scripts. You've got to practice them if you're going to be a professional. And then you'll start to feel comfortable when you're in those scenarios. If you wait until the opportunity shows up and you're not prepared, you won't do it. And you'll go into 10 opportunities where you could have shared it, and 10 times you didn't share it because you didn't prepare. If you're prepared, you shall not fear, right? So that's the work.
Good. Yep.
That's the work. Can't do it for you. I can't do it for you, but I can sure teach the heck out of it. So, all right, you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Great job.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
You guys. You're welcome. Bye-bye.